y'all tonight? Doing well? Good. Wait on the clock to turn. All right then, everybody, board members, everybody's ready. We're going to call the Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education public hearing number 3 on the millage rate to order. It is 6 o'clock today on the 24th. And board members, I would entertain a motion for the adoption of our agenda. I have a motion by Ms. Cook, second by Ms. McDonald. All in favor signify by raising your hand. It'll be 5-0. That'll bring up Mr. Jones for our millage rate presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, board members and public. This is our third public hearing this evening on our calendar year 2024 or fiscal year 2025 millage rate. We're required to have 3 public hearings. Again, we had 2 last Tuesday. This will be the final one tonight. So I wanted to give you a brief overview. Again, our non-negotiables: professionalism, accountable, communicate effectively. Mission statement and vision to empower each student to graduate college and career ready. And then all of our spending should be in support of the roadmap to success or strategic plan, which we have color-coded boxes that ultimately lead to a higher rate of student achievement. So we got here tonight by first approving a budget for fiscal year 2025. We did that on June 18th, 2024. We had some estimates in the budget at the time from the tax commissioner and tax assessor's office. We've since gotten more firm information within a ratio of appeals that allows us to move forward with our digest. And so there was some escalated values for reassessment, therefore the need to have the public hearings. So some terms I always like to go over with everyone when we get started in some of these meetings. Ad valorem tax, as I've stated to you before, you get a property tax bill. There's some components of different governmental entities on it. The school board tax is normally 2/3 of that bill, and that's pretty much anywhere in the state. The certified tax digest is what's normally due by September 1st in Atlanta, and Ms. Hollins has an extension for that. That's where when all of the public entities get their values certified, or passed, she will go and ask for the state to certify the digest. Levying authority is Griffin-Spalding County School System or School Board. When we talk about meal, we're talking about the value of one particular meal. Ours is $16.742, so the value of one meal in Griffin-Spalding is $2.5 million. I'll show you in a second some of our surrounding counties and what the value of their meals are. Millage rate, again, for 2025, we're recommending 16.742. If we were to roll the rate back, it would go to 16.029. Millage equivalent is the difference in the proposed millage rate of 16.742 and the rollback rate, which is 16.029. Net assessed value of one meal, again, earlier, $2.5 million. Recommending authority, Griffin-Spalding County Board of Education. And again, a rollback rate, as I had said a while ago, the difference is a little bit less than one meal. The last few years, the difference in the rollback rate and the rate approved has been almost 2 meals. That's been anywhere from a ratio of 16.742 to in the 14s. So this year it's staying in the 16, which means the assessed value of property has not gone up as much in the last few years. So inflation has come back in check a little bit with those values. So one of our required advertisements to the public is 10 days, I believe, prior to passing the millage rate. We've got to advertise the current year tax digest and the previous 5 years. If you'll focus over to the right-hand column, calendar year 2024, go all the way to the bottom right, 7.9%. That's the amount of actual total tax increase the school board would get. And one block up above that, 3.1 million, is representative of assessment increases and also new growth. New growth is 1.2 million of the 3.1 million. So the conversation tonight is about the difference in two of that $1 million. You also have to factor in a 2.5% property tax collection fee that we have to remove from that because the county collects our taxes for us. And then there's always a delinquency amount of taxpayers that either are not able to pay their taxes or have to get on a payment plan, which then stretches that out into future years. But anyway, I want to make sure everyone was clear on the tax digest, because that percent on the far right sometimes varies with what we have to advertise in the newspaper, and that's because the advertisement in the newspaper is strictly on assessment increases. This is the form that we'll ask Dr. Simmons to sign after the adoption of the millage rate tonight. It just kind of gives you what we're provided. We focus on the middle column where it says reassessment of existing real property. Those are some of the values. I think, Ms. McDonald, you had asked me about that in the last board meeting. Some of those figures, that $107 million, after you take out some exemptions, is what the difference in the values is for this year. Again, this is a continuation of that form. Here on the far right-hand side, you see a bottom line figure of 4.45%. That's what I was just alluding to. Sometimes varies from the five-year tax digest. This figure here is only dealing with assessment increases. That's the difference in the two values. Some 10-year trending data for Griffin-Spalding. As I mentioned to you in the last couple of meetings, if I go back prior to 2015, our millage rate was in the 19s here in the district. You have a 20 mil cap. So this would be the 5th year in a row we would choose to leave the millage rate at 16.742. 2023 millage rate data, I show you some surrounding counties plus all of them in our Griffin-Risa district. The 2024 data has not been published for all of the counties around us yet, so this kind of gives you a little bit of comparative data. There are a couple of them that are at the 20 mil cap or even higher than 20 mil. If you ever need to go above 20, you have to get legislative approval for that. In Griffin-Spalding, the bottom figure here, the value of 1 mil is $2.3 million. So you can look at some of the surrounding counties. We have some counties here that their millage rate is even higher than ours, and the value of the mill is higher than ours, and they also have a bond millage rate on top of what we're talking about tonight. So in theory, a school district could have a 20 mil rate of tax for maintenance and operations and a separate bond millage of 1 and an eSPLOST. So you could have up to a couple of those things. And so tonight, you know, we just have an eSPLOST, which is not what we're talking about, and then the regular millage rate of 16.7. A property value comparison, we always like to show the public, you know, if you have a $100,000 property, if you rolled the rate back, the taxpayer would save $28.52 for the coming year, and that's assuming no assessment increase. If it was 100 this year, it didn't get reassessed, they would go down $28, and if it's a $200,000 property over to the right, that would escalate to 57.04. This is a similar diagram on a $100,000 house that's reassessed to be 130. Then you can follow those yellows from left to right. If you stayed at 16.72, you would see an increase in tax from the 669 over to the 870. And again, the bullet point we added at the bottom of this slide, the Griffin-Spalding County School Board or school system does not assign property values nor reassess existing properties. So your governing power is the rate, and that's what we're here to talk about. So we do like to emphasize that you can appeal your property. You have 45 days once you get the assessment notice to do that. And I know they're still handling those appeals right now. Last couple of slides, advertisement, September 7th. Both of these slides were done on a Saturday. So this is the bylaw advertisement. It cannot be any less than 30 inches wide. I think ours might have been a little bigger than that, but that's fine. It shows our advertisement of our dates, gives some examples. On Saturday the 14th, we then ran this ad, which was advertising this specific meeting tonight. We issued a press release, which, again, as I told you last time, Mr. Pugh did a good job working with the paper to try to give some layman's term language to what we were trying to do, and it also put in some surrounding county millage rates as well, which is not on this slide. And we're saying down here in bold at the bottom, we're not raising the rate. So our timeline, again, we're down here towards the bottom We're doing a public hearing now, and at 6:30, we're going to ask for an adoption of the millage rate. And then on the 26th, there'll be a board meeting for the county commissioners. I'll issue a letter tomorrow to Dr. Ledbetter, pending the board approval, and that will put us in line to have all of our approvals and compliance in order. Mr. Chairman, that completes my presentation.
All right, board members, any questions? I know you've been through this a couple of times already, but just double checking. See if we have any. Hearing none, we will then move on to our public comments, and we do have a couple of people lined up. Miss Cynthia Owens will be the first one. You can go ahead and begin making your way. Excuse me? I didn't even see the numbers. It is fine with me. I was just going to say that I was going to read the information as you were going there, just that you speak to the board that we only work as a unit, not individually. The presentation should be as brief as possible, yet include all the information considered by the speaker. Unless an extension of time is granted, it's about 3 minutes. Questions, suggestions, proposals, or criticisms should also be in writing if available, or if you want to do that, would love that. And I think you already know no profane or vulgar language and that kind of thing. So at that, we have Mr. Bruce Ledbetter that will be speaking.
All right. Well, good evening, Mr. Chairman and the board. For the past 4 years, this elected Board of Education has kept the millage rate the same at 16.4742 mills, and for the past 4 years, the property values have increased 12% to over 25% for the majority of property owners in Spalding County. Keeping the millage rate the same at 16.742 has resulted in a huge tax increase for the property owners in Spalding County. The reason there's a millage rate rollback recommendation by the state of Georgia is to balance the taxes and not allow for huge tax increases for the property owners in the county. When there's a property value increase, as the property owners in Spalding County have experienced in each of the last 4 years, there needs to be a rollback in the millage rate to ease the tax burden on property owners. The tax assessor's office has already raised property valuations from 12% to over 25% every year over the past 4 years. So by keeping the millage rate at the same over the past 4 years, the board has increased the tax burden on the property owners exponentially. I want to remind the board that over $59 million in East Bloss revenue has been received over the past 5 years, and expected to be $71 million East Bloss revenue the school system will receive over the next 5 years. The citizens of Spalding County voted for the East Bloss to help take their tax burden off property owners. Yet the Board of Education continues to not roll back the millage rate to ease that burden, which results in a huge tax increase on property owners. The school system has lost 100 students over the past year, and yet the Board of Education continues to raise our taxes. Even by keeping the millage rate the same, it results in raising our taxes. We, the citizens, are asking for a rollback of the millage rate. Don't think that the citizens aren't aware that the administration of the Griffin-Spalding County School System earning over $100,000 a year to $200,000 in salaries and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on special programs for the school system. Yet we're not seeing positive results in rankings of Griffin-Spalding School System. Board of Education chair and members, you are elected officials. The citizens of Spalding County cannot afford another tax increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ledbetter. And I am sorry, apologize that I got the order mixed up based upon what was on the paper. I apologize for that. Ms. Cynthia Owens, if you will speak next.
I'm sorry.
If
I
you don't
said-
mind pulling that up just a little bit. There you go.
That better?
Perfect. Yes, so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
To look at the audience here today and to see that there's just of us here is very disheartening to me, and I'm very disappointed. But at the last meeting, it was stated that we would meet next week to approve. It's as if your minds were made up before we even came in here this evening. But it's very dear to my heart that you hear me. So yes, I'm emotional because I'm disappointed, because I myself said you may have made your mind up, may have made us feel that you've made your mind up, and they didn't show up, but I'm here and hoping to speak for them. Here in my hand is the current 24 property tax digest and the 5-year levy for the Spalding County School system. The last time of the tax digest is the most important history of the property owners of Spalding County to see. That by the Board of Education voting to keep the millage rate at the same 16.742 millage rate over the last 4 years. This resulted in a huge tax increase because of property valuations were increased anywhere from 11 to over 25% for the last 3 years. You will note that in the last 3 years, tax increases just for the schools were. And I don't want to go through them to save my time. You know what the 21, 22, and 23 are. And the Board of Education is proposing to keep the millage rate at the same as it was at 16.742, which is a result in 7.945 tax increase for the property owners of Spalding County. When you add it up, there has been over 40.76 increase in the school taxes just in the 3 years, and now you're wanting more. How much do you expect us to pay? The school system has 100 less students than 23. I am so sorry, I'm so upset. That really should makes the taxpayers wonder as to why you need more money and why you are spending the taxpayers' dollars, especially when you have added the East-Wash dollars that y'all receive every year. Please, no more raising our school taxes, and we're asking for a rollback. The East-Wash 6 projected revenue for the Spalding County Schools is a total of $71 million plus. The East-Wash 6 revenue received for the previous 5 years is $59 million plus. Why is a rollback even recommended? This is why the state of Georgia recommended a rollback for the school millage rate to compensate for the valuation increase of the properties. The school rate to compensate for the valuation increase of the properties, the school system is ranking in the dough and not taking the economy of the Spalding County into consideration, nor considering the financial burden that they are placing on the property owners, especially those who are 65 and older, who are on a fixed income and cannot afford the high rates. Out of the 159 counties in the out of the 159 counties in the state of Georgia, Spalding County is just 4 counties in the state in which the levy of the school tax on seniors is of 65 and older. Seniors have already paid school taxes all of their lives, and in Spalding County, they have to continue to pay until they pass away. This is very unfair. Many property owners are selling and moving because they can no longer afford the property tax and the school tax increase, which we have experienced from this county and the school system for the last 3 years. So I ask you to please, please, don't make me feel that your mind was made up prior to me coming in here today, and that you listen to us and know that we are in need of some help to reduce. We've got the Board of Commissioners coming up here wanting to raise our taxes again. Don't you want your older generation to stay here?
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Ms. Ray, has anyone else come in that wanted to sign up? All right. We do not have anything for executive session at this moment, and so I would then, if there is no other comments or questions from the board, entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting, and then we will wait to adjourn or start the meeting at 6:30.
Mr. Chair, motion to adjourn today's public hearing for millage rate number 3.
I have a motion by Mr. Brown and a second by Ms. McDonald. All in favor signify by raising your hand. Be 5-0. Thank you again very much for being here and sharing your hearts with us. And we will be adjourned until 6:30. We'll start back.